to see how he goes. Stacey, what being a guy that's been not just a trainer, but you operate in the business side of it as well with like managing fighters. I know you had experience with that. You threw shows in the past, like coming up in Michigan. What are your take? What's your take on Zuffa Boxing? You know, their entry into the sport.
Well, I sit back and I let a lot of people talk, and I watch them, and I watch Super, and I watch the things that they're saying that they're trying to they're trying to do in boxing, and the exposure they're trying to do in boxing, and bring back the boxing audience, and so what they're saying is that they want to, from all aspects, they want total control. They want control of everything to make their thing work. Now,
Correct.
there's two things about that. Now let's go to Don King, the greatest ever did it. Okay, Don King, and I was telling some guys, I've been telling the last 2 or 3 months. Don King, and I told Al Heyman this also. I said, like I told Al, you will do real well in boxing, but you will never be what you should be in boxing as a promoter because you don't have total control. I said, Don King had control. He had control of the fighters. He had control of the managers. He had control of the other promoters that was involved. He had control of everybody that was involved. He had his own training camp. So
Yeah.
you got to go and get ready. So that's total control. And the control that he had was, the main thing was two things: loyalty and working together works.
Hmm.
And he taught us that. And we worked together. And that's why he lived by that. And that's why Don King was the king. Now, right now, is what Super Boxing is going to find out is you're not going to be able to control fighters like you think you are. The UFC fighters is different from the actual fighters in the ring. It's a whole different ballgame. The history of the boxer is different from the history of UFC fighters. So
Yeah.
that format that you're trying to bring to boxing is not going to work. It's not going to work with fighters. The fighters' mentalities are different. The mentality is different. Now you got to go a little bit deeper than that. Let's go all the way back. Let's go
Yeah.
all the way back in time. Boxing, I don't know how spiritual the people, the audience out there, but boxing was a God creation. You got to understand that boxing was a sport that is a God creation. It was creation for the poor man.
Hmm.
It's a poor man's sport. Okay, back when boxing, they had bare knuckle boxing and street boxing and all this type of thing. People were boxing because God created a sport that can take the poor man out of the cotton field or the poor man out of the farm field and give him a life that he can make more money and take care of his family. That comes from hundreds of years ago. So
Hmm.
that's God's creation. So he's not going to let you come in and destroy what he created because there's still a lot of poor people worldwide, and boxing can help. And boxing can help those people. That's why they will never go to make it with only 8 weight classes. If you only got 8 weight classes versus 60 something weight classes in the other divisions, okay. I remember when it first came out with these 4 different governing bodies. My thing was, oh, that's going to be too many. But what I realized is it gave a lot of fighters the opportunity
Correct.
to make a good living for their families and feed their families. But with 8 weight classes, a whole lot of fighters ain't gonna get a chance to fight for no world title. That's one of the reasons why I stopped fighting at 7-0. Because when I
Hmm.
looked up the ladder, I said, good gracious of life. I got to fight Ernie Shakers. I got to go through all these guys to get to Muhammad Ali. By the time I get there, I don't know what I'm gonna look like.
Correct.
So you only had only had one champion. So but now everybody can eat. So they're trying to change that. And that's going to be very difficult to change. I think they're learning right now that it's not as easy as you think it is. So we're going
Yeah.
to see what happens. And I hope everything work out for them, and they look at like, well, we got plenty of money. Well, you got plenty of money. There's no doubt about it. Money can help, but money cannot control the fact that this is God's creation because you can
Correct.
lose that money. You
Correct.
can lose that money, but you're not. Boxing going to be around when Super and all the rest of them is gone. It's
That's for
always be
sure.
some boxing because there's always gonna be some poor people. So I'm not knocking them. I've watched them. I had a couple of kids that wanted me to train them, to work with them. There's no problem. But we're not getting rid of the WBA, WBC, IBF, and WBO. They're not going any place because these fighters need a place to go.
Correct. And
Right.
to your point about like just the boxing being a poor man's sport, it being God's creation. Zuffa Boxing, Stacey, it's very corporate. It's extremely corporate. It's making boxing very corporate, and that in itself, I feel it conflicts with the essence of boxing as a poor man's sport.
Absolutely. Well,
Yeah,
it want to control it just like they control basketball and like a corporation.
yeah,
Sure, but that's not going to work with these fighters. They're going to find out. Well, why is these guys so different? Why their minds are different? Because it's
yeah.
a different sport.
Correct.
It take a long time to figure out the fighter's mind, how these fighters' head works. And you think that you come in there and say, well, here's your $5 million. You're going to do what I want you to do and all that. The fighter might, listen, I don't seen a fighter put 300 million back on the table.
Damn.
I couldn't believe that. Now, you listen, the contract right there on the table. So all you got to do is sign it.
Yeah.
Fighter get the contract, so I ain't doing it. Listen, man, you talking about 20 something years ago. So you don't tell me what a fighter might do. So he might not say, well, I don't want to fight for you. I don't like that. It's not personal for me. So it's this thing has to be personal. Like I say, you look at Sugar Ray Robinson, like Sugar Ray Robinson always said, boxing is spiritual. You know,
Yeah.
he skipped his rope. It's religion. And if you notice that when Ray Robinson retired, and started his sports program out in California, he had all different sports except for boxing, because he realized boxing is a religion. It's tough, it's a religion, and you got to live it, and you got to appreciate it and understand it. And so he didn't have it. Yeah.
1000%. And one thing that's like so different from the UFC to boxing, Stacey, is like the one thing Dana White always says is that boxing is like going out of business sale, right? But I feel like boxing kind of has to be like a going out of business sale, because unlike the MLB or NFL or NBA, the LeBron James and these athletes, they're employees of the league. Boxing is one-off events. It's a one night, one-off events. Boxers are all independent contractors, and they keep the lion's share of the revenue. So yeah, UFC and Dana White's companies, they've been able to make a lot of money because they don't allow their fighters to keep as much of the revenues.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
So
my understanding. My understanding is you'll get sponsors and all that stuff. The sponsor has to go through them, and you can't have your own sponsor and all that. So all of this stuff is going to backfire. So people are going to say, well, I might as well get me a job. If I got to go through all this, I might as well get me a job somewhere. So
yeah.
I'm not having any fun. I'm not building any character for myself. I make a little money, but I don't feel it in my soul. I don't feel spiritual about it. It's a feeling that they lose all of that. Now, as far as I'm concerned, if I didn't have that feeling and that understanding about boxing, I wouldn't do what I'm doing now. I would quit.
Correct.
No, I ain't doing this. But this is what it is. This is the spirit that we go through. This is what I saw in the little kids that I made world champions out of. Little kids that I just left Mississippi putting the program together. And I'm looking at these little kids, things that's happening. Okay. So I have to do all this stuff for them. So I have to do spiritually what I'm doing. God gave me the energy and gave me the help. And I ain't got no problems. I'm going to keep doing it until I die. I'm
Thousand
not worried
percent.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah, because boxing is one of those things that when you really love it the way you love it, and even the way I love it, it's something that's it doesn't leave you. It can't leave you. It is your life.
It can't leave you.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't understand that. Well, how can you do this? Because I love it. And at the time I got into it, I didn't have anything else going for me that I could reach out in the world and travel all around the world. And I didn't like the fact that you put a cap on my money on a job. Well, I'm gonna pay you $50,000 a year, $25,000 a year. I make as much money as I can. Can't nobody put no cap on it. And I traveled all over the world. I've met presidents. I've met prime ministers. I've met everything in the world.
Yeah.
Pimps, crooks, gangsters, the whole world. I done did it all. So
Right.
if I didn't have boxing, I couldn't live that type of life. And I'm still traveling, going places. You know, still healthy, traveling, going places. 6'2", 210 pounds, running at 1 o'clock in the morning, 3 and 4 miles, 4 and 5 days a week. Who you know my age is doing that?
Yeah,
Boxing got me doing this.
it's all boxing. Eating your Brazilian walnuts and whatnot. You know.
Yeah, eat my walnut. You know about my dieting. I got my special dieting and all that.
Yeah.
Now, if I didn't have boxing, I wouldn't be doing all of that.
Correct.
You know, I'd be big as I don't know what. I just come back from one of my class reunions, high school class reunions. Hey, we sure look a lot different. But boxing did it for me.
Correct.
So I'm gonna continue to love boxing. Boxing saved me, and boxing provided my kids, my daughter, to go to college. She went to Cornell University. Then she went to Columbia. Then she got a doctorate degree at Connecticut. And then my son, he went to Mississippi State. Hines, he got his master's. Plus, he's a minister and a teacher and all that stuff. Boxing have provided the finances to get some of this stuff done.
Yeah, so it can never just be corporate. It can never just be like, oh, well, I'm going to give you 50,000 for 3 fights a year and all that stuff.
No, I'm not worried about no. Yeah. I don't need your money.
Yeah. Okay.
Listen. There's a song on internet by AI, because I knew that a regular human being write this song. It's called "Where Did the Time Go?" And then it told the story that you have reached your goal and you still got more roads to travel. And I said, this sounds like me. So what it says is, you have accomplished what you set out to be. You become what you set out to be. I have become what I set out to be. Okay. I wanted to travel the world. I did it.
Yep.
I wanted to meet different people on different levels. I've done it.
Yep.
Okay. I wanted to make a little bit more money than the average factory worker. I've done it. So I have done what I set out to do. So now everything now is just going on and on and on until it's over with. So if it wasn't for boxing, half the things I couldn't have done. Half the people, now it's a big sacrifice. I'll tell you that right now. There's a lot of things going on out there. And man Stewart, one of my mentors, that told me, he said, look, you got a lot of stuff going for you here, and you got to work. When everybody else is partying, everybody doing this, you got to work. So I made my mind up, hey, I'm gonna jump off in the middle of this ocean. Either I'm gonna swim or I'm gonna drown. I almost drowned a few times.
Yeah.
but I made it back.
But you found your way. You found your way.
Yeah. It's getting better.
It always gets better with time.